Yes! The XTool D1 Pro Golden Red has arrived. I've had the XTool Basic, the 10-watt version, for over a year now, and I absolutely love it. You can see here where it says 10 watts, whereas the XTool D1 Pro is 20 watts. That's not even mentioning that the D1 Basic only does 160 millimeters per second, where the Pro does 320. But as with any XTool product, you're going to find awesome packaging. I love how they take the time to package each and every piece of material instead of throwing it all inside of a box and just shipping it to you willy-nilly. It comes with these materials that you can test your laser out on, but if you're ordering one of these, you probably already have a bunch of stuff waiting around just chopping at the bit to get under this beam. I did notice that with the Pro, we got more materials and we got a better quality pamphlet that comes along with it. The book shows step-by-step instructions on how to build this with pictures and arrows. You basically don't even have to be able to read. Now you're probably thinking XTool paid me to do a promotional video, but that's not the case. I actually reached out to them and asked them if they're willing to send me this model because I love the D1 so much, and they agreed and provided me an affiliate link. So I do get kickbacks if you use that affiliate link in the description, but otherwise this is an unpaid promotion. This being the Pro model comes in this new golden red color, and while they never say Iron Man anywhere on it, it looks a lot like Iron Man. Here you can see the difference between the 20-watt laser head on the left and the 10-watt laser head on the right. And yes, my laser on the right is extremely filthy. I use this thing all the time. Very rarely do I clean it, and it still never has any issues. I'm basically abusing the machine, and it just keeps going. This little flip down foot allows you to place the material at the exact right distance from the aperture, which allows for cleaner cutting and etching. The main difference you see between these two, other than the size, is the nozzle on the left. That nozzle is the air assist nozzle, where you blow a little bit of air through while you use this, and it clears the smoke so it doesn't refract the laser, allowing for a cleaner cut, a deeper cut, or a more clear etch. I've been using the OG D1 without the air assist tool, and it does work fine. However, I'm told that you can cut deeper and better and faster with this air assist mechanism. The kit comes with a pair of safety glasses that are tuned to the exact nanometer rating of the laser, so when you put them on, you can't even see the beam or the reflective material. I love wearing these and just watching the laser cut. It's super fascinating to me, whereas if you did it without the glasses, you can severely damage your eyes. I mean, obviously it's a laser, you should wear safety glasses when you look at it. This little toolkit is a new addition. I was surprised to find it, and when I opened it up, I find that it has some pretty cool tools. You got your SD card in there, the parts that you need for assembly, a couple extra screws and bolts in case you drop one or lose one, but most importantly, this screwdriver, which makes assembly a lot faster than having to use those Allen keys that come in your IKEA furniture. I'm going to keep this around, throw some extra zip ties in it, and have it available with my machine wherever it goes. Now, it probably seems silly to mention the packaging again in this unboxing portion of the video before we even put it together, but I live overseas right now, and this package got beat up on the way here with absolutely zero damage to its components. Even these almost indestructible leg risers are individually packaged inside the foam, inside of a side rail of the main machine. You use these to lift the machine up higher in case you're engraving something bigger, or if you need to put the rotary tool underneath, it allows you to get a better raster or etch image on your final product. Combined with the 4 that I still have from my blue machine, I can now make this thing quite tall. It is exactly the same dimensions, just a little bit more hardware internally. Now, what I love most about this type of laser, which is an open face diode laser, is that I can set it on top of a table and burn an image into that table, no matter how big that table is. When dealing with a cabinet style instead of an open face laser, you're not able to place large pieces of material. Even with the Glowforge pass-through slot, you're not going to be able to engrave a large kitchen or dining room table or countertop. You need a machine that can actually burn on the surface that it's sitting on. Additionally, using the same feature, I can move this around larger surfaces and burn portions of a larger image. I've burned things that are 30 inches by 30 inches, even though this usually burns 17 by 17. I think that's around 300 millimeters by 300 millimeters. This is the rotary tool attachment. There's a couple of versions in here where it chucks it in like a lathe, or you can set it on these rollers. I find the lathe attachment works best, especially when dealing with mugs or anything that has a handle so it doesn't hit anything as it rotates around and completes the etch. Now I'm going to time lapse this because watching somebody just throw 16 screws in and a couple of connectors can get a little bit boring, and there's a lot of videos on YouTube on the assembly of this, and there's very detailed instructions in the kit. So the purpose and the value of this video is not to learn how to build it, but just to see that it's easy to do. These C channels do slip inside each other really nicely. They're milled perfectly. So once you get all 4 screws in, it is a perfect right angle. You don't even need to check, but I did anyways with one of my shop squares. Once all 4 sides are completed, this is a very rigid C-channel construction that protects its own electronics and protects the belts and the drive shafts that move the laser head around. This is nice because I can grab this in the morning, bring it to work, burn some things at work, grab it in the evening just by one of the side rails, throw it in the back of my car, and it's still going to be perfectly aligned when I get home and set it up and use it there. However, now that I have 2 of these, I'll probably just leave one at home and leave one at work. Here you can see just how easy these are to assemble. It looks like an old Bionicle or Lego book. There's very few words, lots of pictures, shouldn't be a problem. Now, I was a little bit worried about setting up this air assist system, but it's extremely intuitive. It threads right into the side, has a long hose, and plugs into the wall, and you have to switch it on and off manually. They even include the components if you want to attach this to the D1 Basic, even though it wasn't originally an option for that machine. All right, it's unboxed and set up. The whole thing took me about 5 to 10 minutes. Then again, this is my second one that I've ever built, so I have a little bit of experience, but it shouldn't take you longer than 15 or 20, even if you're not mechanically inclined. Here I'm doing a quick test etch. I'm making some Christmas tree ornaments for an order that I have. I thought this would actually be twice as fast because it's twice as fast and twice as strong as the D1, but it turns out that it's 7 times faster making these ornaments. Now I thought since this is twice as fast and twice as strong that it would do my projects in half the time, but I was wrong. Etching and cutting out 7 of these ornaments took 1.5 hours with the D1, but with the Air Assist tool, reducing the number of passes for the cutting out of these ornaments from 7 passes to 1, I'm seeing an increase of 6 times. That means instead of pumping out 7 ornaments every hour and a half, I'm pumping out 7 ornaments every 15 minutes. So what's the verdict? First, we've got power. It's hard to tell here, but this is cut over 1/4 inch deep. It had 3 passes at full power and 80 millimeters per second for a runtime of about 2.5 hours. I love that 3D effect. You don't get this with a 5-watt diode laser. What about cutting power? This board, while it's in millimeters, is between 1/2 inch and 3/4 inch thick, and it cut straight through it, no problem. I've worked with CO2 lasers, which are on another level, that were unable to do this type of cutting work. Now make sure you have your air assist running when you do this, because I didn't, and I did light my surface on fire the first time I tried it. 20 watts is a lot of power. So here we have a full-on 2x4, and it cut straight through it as well. It did burn the center portion pretty badly near the bottom because I had this resting on a wooden surface, but it did cut through it. Perhaps I should invest in a metal cutting surface instead of wood. So power is great. What about detail? Here you can see that there's a phenomenal level of accuracy, whether it's cutting lightly or cutting hard. However, the material you're burning into really changes the effect. All of these etchings of my wife were done at 80 millimeters per second at 50% power, but because they're different materials, you get different results. Sometimes I love the look of the grain peeking through, but sometimes you need to use a more clear surface like MDF or plywood to get a very clear image. The kit comes with a stamp. It came out nicely, but I didn't invert the image, so everything I stamp is backwards. That's on me, but it'll cost me nothing to remake it, so I'm not too worried. I've been able to cut out these Follow the Compass North coins. Our Patreon members, link in the description, will get these in the mail. Just a little token of my appreciation for those who support us on a monthly basis. Next, I decided to blow these up and make a couple of Christmas tree ornaments while I was testing them out. My favorite is this little Stargate. The detail on it is phenomenal, and I love the little chevrons. I'm a big fan of the show, and now I can just print Stargates out all day long. Who would have guessed a guy playing with lasers on YouTube is a nerd? The rest of these are just images that I had on my computer, the Raven, the apples, Yggdrasil, some other things that I've been playing around with. I varied the speed and power outputs here to play with it a little bit. The turkey's a little bit light. A couple of these are a little bit dark, but it's what I was doing to have some fun and make something I can hang on my tree this upcoming season. That one on the right is a picture of my nephew Sean sitting on our W4 tractor, and the program that I'm using, which is Lightburn, just grayscaled it and etched it perfectly first try. One thing that surprised me is how well this works on leather. However, it does stink because you're burning flesh. I would recommend that you do that outside. Now, I was able to make all of this all within the first day of getting this laser, and no, I didn't have to stay up all night to do it. Last thing I made were these coasters, which I will be selling on my website, www.followthecompassnorth.com. There's a link in the description. However, and I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot here, you don't need to buy any of this stuff from me or through my website or be one of my Patreons. You could just buy one of your own and produce stuff in time for the holiday season, because there's a sale going on for the next few days only where you can get your own XTool D1 Pro and start creating.